Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished fixing the broken gravity generator in Section C of the Stellar Haven Research Station. The job was dirty and tiring, but Jake did not mind. He liked working with his hands and solving problems. The station was huge, floating in space above a mysterious planet covered with old ruins. People from different alien worlds worked together here to study the ancient buildings below. Jake had been working on the station for 2 years now. He was just a maintenance engineer, which meant he fixed things when they broke. Air recyclers, gravity systems, lights, computers. If it was broken, Jake could fix it. Most people thought his job was not important, but Jake knew better. Without him and the other maintenance workers, the station would fall apart in a few days. His best friend on the station was Kira Veltar. She was a Zephyrian, which meant she looked very different from humans. Her skin was blue like the ocean and seemed to shimmer when she moved. She had 4 arms instead of 2, and her eyes were large and golden. Zephyrians were proud warriors who had been fighting wars among the stars for thousands of years. But Kira was different. She was an archaeologist who studied old buildings and artifacts instead of fighting. Jake finished his work and headed to the cafeteria for lunch. The station had people from many different worlds, so the food was always interesting. Today they were serving something that looked like pasta, but tasted like chicken. Jake sat at his usual table near the big windows that showed the planet below. "Jake," Kira called out as she approached his table. Her 4 arms carried a tray of food and several data tablets. "I have been looking for you everywhere." "I was fixing the gravity generator in Section C," Jake said, moving over to make room for her. "What's got you so excited today?" Kira's golden eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I found something amazing in the ruins today. A whole chamber that nobody has seen before. It had writings on the walls and some kind of altar in the center." Jake listened as Kira talked about her discovery. She always got excited about old things, and Jake enjoyed seeing her happy. The Zephyrians were usually serious and focused on honor and battle, but Kira was different. She cared more about learning than fighting. "That sounds really cool," Jake said when she finished. "Did you find any artifacts?" "Not in this chamber, but I have something else to show you." Kira leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Something from my own family. Would you like to see it after your shift ends?" Jake nodded. He was curious about Zephyrian culture, and Kira rarely talked about her family. Most Zephyrians were proud of their warrior ancestors. But Kira seemed embarrassed by all the fighting and violence. After his shift ended, Jake went to Kira's quarters. The rooms for alien crew members were bigger than human quarters because different species needed different amounts of space. Kira's room was decorated with plants from her home world and several small statues of Zephyrian warriors. "Close your eyes," Kira said as Jake entered. "I want this to be a surprise." Jake closed his eyes and heard Kira moving around the room. There was a soft humming sound, like electricity running through metal. Then Kira told him to open his eyes. In the center of the room stood a suit of armor, unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It was made of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light, but it also had lines of blue energy running through it like veins. The armor had a helmet with a curved visor, chest plates that looked incredibly strong, and arm guards that extended past the elbows. The whole thing seemed to glow with its own inner light. "This belonged to my great-great-grandmother, Thyra Veltar," Kira said proudly. "She was a famous warrior who fought in the War of 7 Suns. The armor has been in my family for over 300 years. Jake walked around the armor, amazed by its beauty and craftsmanship. "It looks incredible. How much does it weigh?" "About 200 pounds, Kira said. "Zephyrian warriors are much stronger than humans. We train from childhood to wear armor. Like this." Jake reached out to touch the armor, then pulled his hand back. "Is it okay if I touch it?" "Of course, but just be careful. It is very old and very valuable." Jake touched the chest plate gently. The metal felt warm and smooth, not cold like he expected. The blue lines seemed to pulse slightly under his fingers. "You know," Kira said with a mischievous smile, "I bet you could not even lift this armor, let alone wear it. You humans are so weak and fragile." Jake laughed. "I'm not that weak. I work out in the gym every day, really." Kira's forearms crossed in front of her chest. Then prove it. Try to put it on. Jake looked at the armor again. It did look heavy, and it was clearly made for someone with a different body shape than humans. But he had never backed down from a challenge before. You're on, Jake said. If I get stuck in this thing, you have to help me get out. Deal, Kira said, laughing. This should be entertaining. Jake started with the chest piece. As soon as he touched it with both hands, something strange happened. The armor became lighter, as if it was helping him lift it. The chest plate seemed to adjust its size slightly as he held it against his body. That's weird, Jake said. It feels different now. Different how? Kira asked. But she looked puzzled too. Lighter, and it's warm. Jake managed to get the chest plate on, and it fit perfectly. The straps and buckles seemed to adjust themselves without him touching them. Kira's golden eyes grew wide. That should not be possible. The armor is made for Zephyrian bodies, not human ones. Jake put on the arm guards next. They slid onto his arms easily and felt comfortable, like they were made just for him. The blue lines in the metal began to glow brighter. Kira, something is definitely happening here, Jake said. The armor is changing to fit me? That cannot be right, Kira said, but her voice sounded worried. The armor is just metal and energy circuits. It cannot think or change shape. Jake put on the leg pieces next. They fit perfectly, just like the rest of the armor. The blue lines were now pulsing in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Jake felt energy flowing through the armor and into his body. Maybe I should take this off, Jake said, but when he tried to remove the chest plate, it would not budge. It was not stuck. It felt like it belonged there.
Oh.
Jake, try the helmet, Kira said. Maybe it will help us understand what is happening. Jake picked up the helmet with a curved visor that looked like it could display information. As soon as he put it on, everything changed. The helmet's visor lit up with symbols and text that Jake somehow understood. Even though he had never seen this writing before, information flowed into his mind. Tactical data, weapon systems, battle, formations. He could see the room around him in perfect detail, and he could sense Kira's heartbeat and breathing. Jake. Kira's voice sounded far away. Jake, can you hear me? Jake tried to speak, but his voice came out different, deeper and stronger. I can hear you perfectly, but something is wrong. I can understand these symbols, and I know things I never learned. The armor was fully active now, humming with power. Jake felt stronger and faster than ever before. His mind was filled with knowledge about fighting and warfare that he had never studied. Most disturbing of all, he felt like the armor recognized him, as if it had been waiting for him to wear it. Kira, Jake said, I think we need to get help. This armor is doing something to me, and I don't think it's just a family heirloom. The blue lines in the armor pulsed brighter, and Jake felt a connection forming between himself and the armor that went deeper than just wearing it. Whatever was happening, there was no going back now. Jake sat in the medical bay while Dr. Lisa Carter ran another scan over his body. The armor had been on him for 3 days now, and no matter what they tried, it would not come off. The chest plate, arm guards, leg pieces, and helmet had somehow fused with his skin and nervous system. Jake could feel the armor circuits connecting with his thoughts and emotions. The readings are impossible, Dr. Carter said, looking at her scanner with confusion. Your heart rate is stronger than before, your reflexes are 3 times faster, and your muscle density has increased by 40%. But the armor is not just sitting on your skin, it's integrated with your nervous system. Jake moved his arm, and the armor moved with him like it was part of his body. It doesn't feel heavy anymore. Actually, I feel lighter and stronger than I ever have. Dr. Carter shook her head. Human biology should not be able to interface with Zephyrian technology. Our nervous systems are completely different. This should be killing you, not making you stronger. Kira sat nearby, watching the tests with worry in her golden eyes. She had not slept well since Jake put on the armor. Her family's precious heirloom was now stuck to her best friend, and nobody understood why. Maybe we should contact the Zephyrian medical specialists, Dr. Carter suggested. They might know more about how this armor works. No, Kira said quickly. If my people learn about this, they will want to study Jake like a laboratory animal. The armor is sacred to my family, they would not understand. Jake stood up from the medical table. The armor made his movements smooth and precise. What exactly do you know about this armor, Kira? You said it belonged to your great-great-grandmother, but where did she get it? Kira looked uncomfortable. The stories say it was a gift from the precursors. They were an ancient race that disappeared millions of years ago, but those are just old legends. Legends that might be true, Dr. Carter said. The technology in this armor is far beyond anything we have today. The metal itself seems to be alive somehow. Jake walked over to the window and looked out at the planet below. Through the armor's visor, he could see details on the surface that should be impossible to spot from this distance. The ancient ruins looked different now. He could see patterns and structures that made sense, like he was reading a map. I'm seeing things differently, Jake said. The ruins down there, they're not just random buildings. They're laid out in a specific pattern, like a star map. Kira joined him at the window. What do you mean? Jake pointed at different sections of the ruins. Look at how the buildings are arranged. The cluster there represents the Orion system. Those three structures in a line point toward Earth, and that circular arrangement matches the Zephyrian homeworlds. How do you know all this? Kira asked. Never studied star maps or ancient architecture? I don't know, Jake said, touching his helmet. The information just appears in my mind when I need it, like the armor is teaching me. Dr. Carter finished packing her equipment. I'm going to run some tests on the armor's energy signature. Maybe we can find a way to remove it safely. After Dr. Carter left, Jake and Kira sat in the medical bay in silence. Jake could feel the armor's systems running background processes in his mind, analyzing everything around him. It was like having a computer connected directly to his brain. I'm scared, Jake, Kira said finally. What if we can't get the armor off? What if it changes you into something that's not human anymore? Jake took her hand with his armored fingers. The armor was sensitive enough that he could feel her skin through the metal. I'm still me, Kira. I just have access to information I didn't have before. What kind of information? Jake closed his eyes and let the armor's knowledge flow through. His mind. Battle tactics. Weapon systems. Star charts showing the locations of ancient outposts. And something else. Memories that aren't mine. Memories. I dream about space battles. Huge fleets of ships fighting against something dark and terrible. And humans are there, fighting alongside the Zephyrians and other races. But the humans in my dreams are different. Stronger, faster, more advanced than we are now. Kira's eyes widened. That's impossible. When the Zephyrians first encountered humans 50 years ago, you were still using primitive rockets to reach your own moon. I know what the history books say, Jake said. But these memories feel real. In them, humans have technology that makes our current ships look like toys. Jake stood up and walked to the computer terminal. Without thinking, he placed his hand. On the interface, the armor's systems connected with the station's computer, and suddenly, Jake had access to files he had never seen before. This is strange, Jake said. I can access secure databases that should be locked. What kind of databases? Jake scrolled through the files. Archaeological reports from the planet below. Most of them are classified, but the armor is bypassing all the security systems. He paused as he read one particular report. Kira, you need to see this? Kira looked at the screen. The report showed images of cave paintings found deep in the ruins. The paintings depicted figures that looked human, fighting alongside Zephyrians against strange, dark creatures. When was this report filed? Kira asked. 6 months ago? But it's marked as too sensitive for general distribution. Jake read further. The archaeological team found evidence that humans were on this planet thousands of years ago. But that's impossible. Humans didn't have space travel back then. The armor's helmet display suddenly lit up with new information. Jake saw a star map highlighting several systems, including Earth's location. Next to Earth was a symbol that pulsed with red light. The armor is showing me something, Jake said. It's a warning about Earth. What kind of warning? Before Jake could answer, the station's communication system activated. Commander Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers. All crew members report to your stations immediately. We're receiving strange signals from deep space. Unknown vessels are approaching. Our position. Jake felt the armor's systems activate automatically, his mind filled with tactical information about the approaching ships. The armor recognized them as hostile. Kira, we need to get to the command center, Jake said. The armor is telling me. Those ships are dangerous. They ran through the station's corridors. Jake moved faster than he ever had before, the armor enhancing his speed and coordination. Other crew members stared as he passed, amazed by his fluid movements. The command center was full of activity when they arrived. Commander Rodriguez stood at the main display watching as 3 large ships approached the station. The ships were dark and seemed to absorb light like black holes. Sir, Jake said, I think I know what those ships are. Commander Rodriguez turned to him. Morrison, what happened to you? You look different? Jake realized he had been so focused on the approaching danger that he forgot most people had not seen him since he put on the armor. It's a long story, sir. But those ships, they're not friendly. How do you know that? Jake touched his helmet, accessing the armor's database. The armor has records of ships like these. They're called devourers. They feed on life energy and destroy everything they touch. That's impossible, Commander Rodriguez said. Our sensors show they're made of unknown materials, but they're not doing anything hostile. They're scanning us, Jake said, looking for something specific. The armor is telling me they're searching for precursor technology. Suddenly, the station shook violently. The lights flickered, and several crew members fell to the floor. Jake remained standing, the armor's systems keeping him balanced. Report. Commander Rodriguez shouted. Sir, the unknown ships are firing some kind of energy beam at us, called out Lieutenant Barnes from the sensor station. But our shields are holding. Jake felt the armor's systems analyzing the attack. They're not trying to destroy us?
Here.
Trying to locate the source of the precursor energy signature. What are you talking about? Commander Rodriguez demanded. Jake pointed to himself. The armor is sending out a signal. That's what they're looking for. They know someone has activated precursor technology. The station shook again, harder this time. Jake could feel the armor's systems preparing for combat, filling his mind with battle strategies and weapon configurations. Sir, Jake said, I think we're in serious trouble, and I think I'm the reason why. The 3 dark ships stopped their attack and moved away from the station. Jake felt the armor systems calm down, but the helmet display still showed warning signals. Whatever those ships were looking for, they had found it. They're leaving. Lieutenant Barnes reported from the sensor station. But they're not going far. They're taking position around the planet. Commander Rodriguez walked over to Jake. Morrison, I need you to explain what just happened. How did you know about those ships? Jake touched his helmet, and information flowed into his mind. The armor has a database of enemies from long ago. Those ships belong to something called the Devourers. They destroy civilizations by feeding on their life energy. That sounds like science fiction, Commander Rodriguez said. Sir, with respect, so did the idea of humans working with aliens 50 years ago, Jake replied. But here we are. Dr. Amanda Brooks, the station's chief archaeologist, entered the command center. She looked excited despite the recent attack. Commander, you need to see what we found in the ruins. The discovery changes everything we thought we knew about this planet. What kind of discovery? Commander Rodriguez asked. We found a sealed chamber deep underground. The walls are covered with murals that show the history of this planet. And humans are in those murals, fighting alongside the Zephyrians and other races. Kira stepped forward. That's impossible. My people first met humans 50 years ago. Dr. Brooks activated a holographic display that showed images from the chamber. The murals were beautiful and detailed, showing scenes of great battles in space and on different worlds. In every image, humans fought side by side with various alien races. These murals are at least 50,000 years old, Dr. Brooks said. But look at the humans in them. They're not primitive. They're wearing advanced armor and using weapons that are more sophisticated than anything we have today. Hey! Jake studied the images. The humans in the murals wore armor that looked similar to what he was wearing now. They commanded huge spaceships and seemed to be leaders in the battles against dark, twisted creatures. The armor is confirming what you're showing us, Jake said. It's filling in details about these battles. Humans in these pictures weren't just allies. They were the commanders of the combined fleets. Commander Rodriguez shook his head. This contradicts everything we know about human history. Our records showed that humans were living in caves 50,000 years ago. What if our records are wrong? Dr. Brooks suggested. What if something happened that made us forget our true history? Jake felt the armor accessing deeper files in its memory system. Suddenly, his mind was flooded with images and information. He saw Earth not as a primitive world, but as a highly advanced planet, with cities that reached into the sky and spaceships that traveled between stars. The armor is showing me Earth's real history, Jake said. We weren't primitive cave dwellers. We were one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Then what happened to us? Kira asked. Jake closed his eyes and let the armor's memories flow through him. There was a war. A terrible war against the Devourers. They were consuming entire star systems, turning living worlds into empty husks. The civilized races banded together to fight them. The armor projected a holographic star map that showed the galaxy as it was 50,000 years ago. Hundreds of worlds glowed with life, connected by trade routes and communication networks. But as Jake watched, dark areas began spreading across the map like an infection. The Devourers were unstoppable, Jake continued. Every world they touched died. The combined fleets were losing the war. So the humans made a desperate choice. What choice? Rodriguez asked. Jake's voice became quiet. They decided to hide. The human leaders realized that the Devourers were attracted to advanced technology and organized civilizations. So they abandoned their cities and technology, scattered across the galaxy, and pretended to be primitive.
Ow.
Dr. Brooks stared at the holographic map. They gave up everything they had built to save themselves. Not just to save themselves, Jake said. To save everyone. The humans volunteered to be the bait. They made themselves look weak and defenseless, while secretly maintaining hidden bases and defense systems throughout the galaxy. The armor showed more images. Humans destroying their own cities, burying their technology, and teaching their children to live like primitive tribes. But in hidden locations, small groups of humans maintained advanced outposts, waiting for the day when they would be needed again. The plan worked, Jake said. The Devourers went into hibernation when they couldn't find any more advanced civilizations to consume. But the humans knew they would come back eventually. Kira looked at the images with amazement. So when my ancestors' legends talk about the Star Children who helped in the Great War, they were talking about humans. Yes. And this armor wasn't. Just a gift from the precursors. It was made by humans and precursors working together. That's why it responds to me. It recognizes human genetic markers. Commander Rodriguez walked to the window and looked out at the planet below. If this is true, then there might be other humans out there who know the real history, which Jake felt. The armor connecting to networks he didn't know existed. The armor is showing me locations of hidden human facilities throughout the galaxy. Most of them are automated, but some still have people. People who have been keeping them secret for 50,000 years? Dr. Brooks asked. Guardians, Jake said. Humans who stayed awake while the rest of us forgot? They've been watching and waiting for the Devourers to return. The station's communication system activated again. This time the voice was different, older and more serious. Stellar Haven Research Station, this is Guardian Base 7. We have been monitoring your situation. The individual wearing the precursor armor needs to be brought to our location immediately. Commander Rodriguez looked at Jake. Do you know who that is? Jake consulted the armor's database. Guardian Base 7 is a hidden human facility in the asteroid belt of this system. It's been there for thousands of years, disguised as a mining operation. This is Commander Rodriguez of Stellar Haven. Who am I speaking with? This is Guardian Captain Helen Morris. I'm the commanding officer of one of the secret human facilities that has been waiting for this day. The activation of precursor armor means the Devourers have returned. Jake felt a chill run through him. The 3 ships that attacked us, they were scouts. The main fleet is still coming.
It's correct, Captain Morris said. We have detected movement from the dark regions of space. The Devourer fleet is massive, and they're heading for all systems with human populations.
Commander Rodriguez gripped the back of his chair. How long do we have? Based on our calculations, the first wave will reach the outer colonies in 2 weeks. The core worlds, including Earth, have perhaps a month before the main fleet arrives. Dr. Brooks looked at the holographic star map, which now showed red indicators moving toward human space. Can we stop them? Depends on how many humans are ready to remember who they really are, Captain Morris said. The armor your friend is wearing is one of many that have been hidden throughout human space. As the Devourers approach, these artifacts will activate and awaken the genetic memories we've kept dormant. Jake felt the armor's systems expanding, connecting to networks that span the galaxy. I can feel it happening. Other humans are starting to remember. The armor is linking me to people I've never met, but somehow know. The awakening has begun, Captain Morris said. But it will take time for humans to remember their true nature. We need to buy that time. Commander Rodriguez straightened up. What do you need from us? Send the armored individual to Guardian. Base 7. We need to fully activate his systems and prepare him for what's coming. The fate of the galaxy may depend on how quickly we can wake up humanity. Jake looked at Kira, then at Commander Rodriguez. I'll go, but I want Kira to come. With me. She's the reason I found the armor in the first place. Jake, this is dangerous, Kira said. If these Devourers are as powerful as you say, maybe you should stay here where it's safe. Jake shook his head. There is no safe place anymore. The armor is showing me what will happen if the Devourers win. Every world will become a dead rock floating in space. The armor's helmet display showed images of worlds consumed by the Devourers, empty planets covered in ash, their skies dark and lifeless. Jake knew that if humanity didn't remember its true nature soon, the same fate would befall every living world in the galaxy. I have to do this, Jake said. It's not just for humans, but for everyone. The armor chose me for a reason. Commander Rodriguez nodded grimly. Then get ready to leave. If what we've learned today is true, we're about to find out if humanity is really as weak as we've been pretending to be. Jake and Kira traveled to Guardian Base 7 in a small shuttle. The hidden facility looked like an ordinary mining station from the outside, but Jake's armor could see through the disguise. Powerful energy shields surrounded the base and advanced. Weapons were hidden in what looked like simple mining equipment. Captain Helen Morris met them at the docking bay. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. When she looked at Jake, he felt like she could see right through him. So you're the one who activated the armor, Captain Morris said. I've been waiting 40 years to see this day. 40 years, Jake asked. I was born here, just like my parents and grandparents before them. My family has been guarding this base for over 200 years, waiting for the Devourers to return. Captain Morris led them through corridors that looked much more advanced than anything on Stellar Haven. The walls were covered with displays showing star maps and energy. Readings from across the galaxy? How many bases like this are there? Kira asked. 57 active bases, Captain Morris replied. Each one hidden in a different system, each one guarded by families who have kept the secret for generations. We've been watching and waiting, knowing that someday the Devourers would wake up. They entered a large chamber filled with computer terminals and holographic displays. Jake could see other people working at the stations, all humans, all with the same serious look in their eyes. These are my crew, Captain Morris said. Like me, they were raised knowing the truth about humanity's past. We've been preparing for this war our entire lives. Jake felt his armor connecting to the bases. Systems. Suddenly, information flooded his mind. Locations of other Guardian bases. The positions of hidden weapons platforms, and most importantly, the current location of the Devourer fleet. They're moving faster than we expected, Jake said, reading. The data streams. The main fleet will reach the outer colonies in 1 week, not 2. Captain Morris nodded grimly. We detected the acceleration 6 hours ago. The scout ships that found you must have reported back. The Devourers know that humanity is starting to wake up. What about the other humans in the galaxy? Kira asked. Are they remembering their true nature? Captain Morris activated a galactic display that showed thousands of points of light. Each light represents a human who has begun to awaken. The genetic triggers are activating across all human worlds, but the process takes time. Jake watched as the lights slowly increased in number. How long before enough humans remember to make a difference? That's the problem, Captain Morris said. We estimate it will take at least 3 weeks for the awakening to reach critical mass. But the Devourers will be here in 1 week, and we need to slow them down, Jake said. Captain Morris smiled for the first time since they had arrived. Exactly. That's where you come in. The armor you're wearing isn't just protective gear. It's a command interface for ancient defense systems that have been hidden throughout human space. Jake felt the armor systems expanding, connecting to networks that spanned multiple star systems. I can feel them. Weapons platforms, automated ships, defense grids. They're all waiting for activation commands. Your great-great-grandmother's armor is special, Captain Morris said to Kira. It was one of the command suits created during the original war. The person wearing it can coordinate defensive actions across the entire galaxy. Kira looked worried. That sounds like a lot of responsibility for one person. It is, Captain, Maurice admitted. But Jake won't be alone. Other command armor suits are activating across human space. Soon, there will be a network of humans coordinating the defense. The base suddenly shook, and alarm sirens began to sound. A young technician called out from one of the workstations. Captain, we're detecting energy spikes from the Devourer fleet. They're launching scout groups toward all major human colonies. Jake felt his armor, analyzing the threat. The Devourers weren't waiting to attack in one massive wave. They were sending smaller forces to test human defenses and locate more awakening humans. They're trying to stop the awakening process, Jake said. If they can destroy the humans who are remembering, the rest will stay asleep. Captain Morris walked to the main command console. Then we need to protect those humans while they complete their awakening. Jake, are you ready to take command of the defense grid? Jake looked at Kira. She nodded encouragingly, even though he could see the fear in her golden eyes. What do I need to do? Jake asked. Captain Morris pointed to a raised platform in the center of the chamber. Stand there and let the armor connect fully with our systems. But I have to warn you, the mental strain of coordinating galactic defenses has broken minds before. Jake stepped onto the platform. Immediately, the armor began connecting to systems he hadn't known existed. His consciousness expanded beyond his body, beyond the base, beyond the star system. He could see and feel every Guardian base, every hidden weapon, every human colony across the galaxy. The sensation was overwhelming. Jake felt like his mind was stretching across impossible distances, but somehow, the armor helped him stay focused and calm. I can see everything, Jake said, his voice echoing strangely in the chamber. The Devourer scout groups are heading for Earth, New Melbourne, and the Centauri colonies. Can you activate the defenses? Captain Morris asked. Jake concentrated on the hidden weapons platforms near Earth. With a thought, he brought them online. Ancient technology that had been sleeping for 50,000 years awakened at his command. Defenses activated around Earth, Jake reported. But the Devourers have more ships than we expected. Our hidden weapons can slow them down, but not stop them. Through the armor sensors, Jake watched as the first battle began. The Devourer scout ships were dark and twisted, like living shadows given form. They moved through space in ways that defied physics, bending around obstacles and absorbing energy weapons. But the ancient human defense platforms had weapons designed specifically to fight these creatures. Beams of pure light cut through the Devourer ships, and specialized missiles tracked them no matter how they tried to dodge. We're winning the first engagement, Jake said. But these are just scouts. The main fleet will be much harder to stop. Kira watched the battle displays with amazement. Your people built all of this? 50,000 years ago? Not just my people? Jake said, feeling the armor's memories flow through him. Humans, Zephyrians, and a dozen other races worked together. The precursors provided the advanced technology, but it was the combined fleets that made it work. Captain Morris checked the status reports from other Guardian bases. Jake, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. Humans are awakening. faster than we predicted. The sight of our defenses fighting the Devourers is triggering more genetic memories. Jake could feel it happening. Each human who remembered their true nature created a ripple effect, helping others to awaken. But he could also sense the Devourer main fleet moving closer. "Captain, the main fleet isn't just bigger than we thought," Jake said. "It's different. The armor is showing me ship designs I don't recognize. The Devourers have evolved during their hibernation." "What do you mean?" Captain Morris asked. Jake studied the approaching fleet through long-range sensors. "Dave, learn from our previous tactics. These ships are resistant to the weapons that worked 50,000 years ago." The implications hit everyone in the chamber at the same time. The defense systems they had been counting on might not be enough to stop the evolved Devourers. "We need a new strategy," Jake said. "Something the Devourers won't expect." Captain Morris looked at the tactical displays. "What do you suggest?" Jake felt the armor processing thousands of possibilities. "We don't fight them the way we did before. We use what makes humans different from every other species." "What's that?" Kira asked. Jake smiled, even though the situation was desperate. "We adapt. Humans are the best in the galaxy at changing their tactics and thinking of new solutions. We've been pretending to be primitive for 50,000 years. Maybe it's time to show the Ablurers what we learned during that time." The armor connected Jake to awakening humans across the galaxy. He could feel their confusion, their fear, but also their determination. Humanity was remembering who they really were, and they were ready to fight for their survival. "Send a message to all Guardian bases," Jake said. "Tell them to prepare for a new kind of war. We're not going to fight like the old civilizations did. We're going to fight like humans.